This is Behind the Curtain. Today we're going to be learning about how the Safdie Brothers developed Uncut Gems over 10 years, how being a quarterback relates to writing chaotic scenes, and what the name Uncut Gems really means.
We started this process 10 years ago, Uncut Gems, and the initial draft or the initial concept of the movie was inspired. Our dad worked in the Diamond District as a basically salesman / runner for a character who was, paternal in the sense that he took on a lot of outsiders and worked in the Diamond District and was a kind of a heroic guy, but also kind of maybe, did things that were slightly unlikable but lovable. So that was
very mythological.
But mythological. The stories though were very pulpy and very mimetic in the sense that you could sit down at a dinner table or at a bar and you'd want to tell these stories because they were pulp and they were fun. So that's where that first draft kind of was like nostalgic in the sense of that, without sentimentality, but nostalgic nonetheless. And Benny and I went and wrote that first draft, and then over the years, the script either wasn't ready for a number of reasons, it wasn't developed enough, we didn't earn our rights.
It's like, okay, if we don't have financing, we'll move to something else, and then we would just find another project.
We would stumble in through our interests and through our research in weird ways, stumble into other projects, a documentary about a basketball player, a film based on a young woman who I discovered doing research in the Diamond District, and then adapting her memoirs with Ronnie to do a script about her own life, starring her. And then that project, Rob Pattinson saw that film and then said, I want to work with you whenever you're doing next. I said, we're doing this film in the Diamond District, you're not right for anything there. He's like, okay, well maybe let's just meet and we can figure out something else. And wanting to keep mining and educate ourselves on pacing and genre, and then that led to Good Time.
With each project that we made along the way, you develop you develop muscles that then in turn, when you retroactively go back and look at where you were with Gems, you realize you've sort of outmoded it. So much of the material is no longer interesting to you or no longer meets your standards of quality because of the work that you've done.
Or you've expressed it. You've expressed it and you don't need to re-express it again.
One great example is Benny's character from Good Time was a character that Ronnie and Benny developed for a project that Ronnie was going to do. Mm-hmm. Then that turned into a character in Uncut Gems, the script. It
was in there for a while.
And then we went and did Good Time, and then we started to write Good Time. We're like, well, we can use this character.
My character in Good Time was actually in a version of Gems, and for a long time, and it was the same guy. He had a similar disability, but Howard kind of took him in after his mother died. So he played like this kind of father figure to him. And when we didn't make Gems, it's like, oh, well, what do we do with this character? Because it's something Ronnie and I had worked on a lot before that for another movie, and then we put
the character you developed,
and then we're like, okay, then he was in Gems, and then when Gems wasn't happening, we're like, oh, we have this amazing character, we have to use him somewhere, and then he found his way into Good Time, and then when he's in Good Time, of course, he doesn't need to be in Gems anymore, so a lot of his character actually ended up in Julia's character.
Yeah, weirdly enough,
so,
you mentioned Good Time. There's a scene in Good Time at the bail bonds. And I remembered while we were shooting it, there's like, how many? There's 1, 2, 3, 4 characters, right? Or 5 characters.
4 characters.
4 characters.
I don't know who the 5th would be.
But it's omnipresent. No. So there's 4 characters, and they're all speaking at the same time, at different moments to one another. So the line is literally switching between 2 people in one word.
I'm at a legitimate... It's a bail bonds place. So the thing is this. The thing is, Mom, we get the money back. Call me back, Mommy. Mom.
And it was just so crazy that I remember while we were shooting it, we were like, I wonder if this is going to work. Like, I don't even know if it's going to be possible to edit this together. But I was like, all right, I think we can do it. We can do it. Just make sure everything is in on point, and we'll make it work. And it did work. And then after that, I was like, we can do that. Like, we can.
Well, it was calm, but it was a calm in the storm.
It was a calm in the storm.
Because it's 4 characters, but 6 conversations.
Yes, that's what it was.
What makes
okay,
it,
so it's always changing. So there's like the receptionist is talking to the bail bonds and their husband and wife. So they have one thing, and then he turns and looks at Rob for a split second. Then Rob looks at the receptionist. So everything is switching.
Their phone conversations.
There's phone conversations. So that was kind of like a prep for certain scenes in Uncut Gems where it was like, okay, if we can do that, we can go times 10 and add so many more characters all talking at the same time.
Because from the very beginning, very early on in the script process, there was this gargantuan section of the script that sometimes, I think in its one iteration, was 30-page sequence. And it was the sequence where you introduce Kevin Garnett in the movie. And there's a lot of characters inside the showroom. And it kind of vacillated between how many speaking characters there were, and then we simplified it over time, and what you see in the movies is the most simplified version, which if you've seen the movie, you'll know it's not a simple scene at all. There's a lot going on. There's the back room, there's the showroom, there's...
It's game night, you should be stretching out.
Look at insane, man. I was just about to say, what is he, a coach? Nah, he's just a fucking crazy-ass Jew.
What the greatest part about being a writer-director is that you get to... you're directing from the second you put a word down on the script, because you have to actually put yourself in that scenario and see if you can see it if you can bring it to life, and having done that scene started the pare down process. Okay, well this is too much. This is overload, and this is gonna be information overload. So that helped with the editing process. Good time of that, and then specific scene, and then in the the hectic part about a scene like that is you have to take this. And I'm not even a football person, but what I can relate to, something that is very deep to me, is when the quarterback receives the ball and is surrounded, right? There you have all this defense trying to make their way to sack him.
He's in the pocket.
And he's in the pocket. And you can just see he's got defense all around him. And he can move around, and the pocket can move with him, but he's in the pocket, and all he's looking for is a pass or a run. And that pocket is kind of like a scene like that. You kind of just have to try to find the pocket and toe the line, make sense of this. If you work at it one piece at a time, if you build your way up, eventually it'll all make sense on some level, as long as you're communicating. So yeah, Good Time was huge.
We go in knowing that that's going to be the case. It's like, okay, the performance we believe would be heightened by the freedom that would allow. That, like, if we could just talk over one another, we don't have to worry about pausing and waiting for you to talk. So it breeds an interesting energy. So let's play with that. And we knew that we'd have to make it work later somehow. And we were confident that was going to happen. And so there were certain scenes where it was almost not possible, but it breeds a life that reflects the characters in the film. That there is this constant run of people talking business here, business there,
Form. Louis Sullivan said form follows function, and it is so, I live by that. When every time I would go back to the Diamond District, like I was saying earlier, I would get that bug. That bug came from the energy that comes from, you go into a jewelry store and there's literally 3 deals happening at the same time. Meanwhile, there's a food buffet that's out because it's, a Jewish holiday, and then you're drinking at 2 at noon. Mm-hmm. So that energy was part of it. Honestly, the personal hack for ourselves has always been, if you know your characters, if you know your characters, the narrative writes itself. And that's happened so many times with us. We've been stuck in a hole, but you really know these people, and what they will do next is determined by who they are. And that's really who you're writing for. You're writing for the characters and their real lives, or the quote unquote real lives.
And it's not like a binary, well, do we want to make the audience feel good? Do we want to make the audience feel bad? Which is maybe a little bit how you're posing it. It's, it's more generous than that, because what is going to give the audience the most fulfilling experience, in keeping with the particular set of conceptual semaphores that comprise of this project.
The movie is called Uncut Gems, right? Yeah. An uncut gem is something that the beauty has to be discovered on the inside, and there are these things that are judged from the outside and deemed unvaluable, or ugly. And then the movie is filled with uncut gems in human forms. They're people who might have rough on the outside appearances. They might do things that might be slightly unlikable, but when you dig down deep, you get to something that is beautiful and therefore of value. And I think that the ending of the movie literally and figuratively does that.
Hi, this is Nehemiah Jordan, the creator of Behind the Curtain. There were so many good insights from the Safdie brothers about Uncut Gems that I've actually created a second video of bonus information and content that you can watch right now. If you liked this video, subscribe and check the notification bell so that you can know when our next video releases. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you soon.